Welcome back, everyone. I am sitting in the middle of beautiful Principio Creek here at Principio Furnace, welcoming you to another video here at Matthew Harris Studio. This video is a classic example of why I would love for you to smash that subscribe button. Hope to earn your subscription with the content that we're sharing today. What we're doing is forging a bunch of stainless steel oak leaves, part of a really amazing gate project. And the reason I asked you to subscribe is we want to grow this channel to share even more great stuff that we're doing here. And as we grow, hopefully we can afford to hire somebody to shoot and edit even more videos. Because honestly, this project has had a bunch of great content on it. And we've been so busy, I haven't even been able to film it all. But I did manage to get a lot of good footage of forging these oak leaves. And so I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm so glad you're with me. The dogs are glad you're with us. That is Hudson across the creek, enjoying a beautiful summer afternoon here. And that is good old Chester boy. And up through the woods right there is the studio. Anyhow, thanks so much for being here. Check this out. I'm going to show you several different techniques that we used in the creation of these leaves, but it really started with hand hammering. So these are laser cut stainless steel blanks, and we don't want them to look anything but laser cut. So we start by texturing all of the edges of these leaves by hand with what is called a fuller peen hammer. I'll show that to you a little bit later in closer detail, but basically we're texturing this not super sharply, but we want to put a bunch of nice round hits into this to show the texture in the leaves. Jared is using a technique here called stake repousse, which is taking the stake that's held in the anvil and the hammer that he's using on the top to create a vein in this leaf. Now this is done hot in this case because this is exterior work. It's stainless steel. It's really tough. But this work traditionally was also done cold in very thin gauge material for inside pieces like elaborate acanthus leaves on interior railings. This tooling that we're using on these air hammers is one of the things I was most excited about on this project, because I made these specialized dies to hammer in the veins in the leaves. And this did several things. It gave them a rich texture in the center of the leaf, but it also made them so much more three-dimensional. It took them from being just a plain, flat piece of metal into a really rich-looking three-dimensional white oak leaf. It was really fun to begin to see these leaves pile up in the shop as we hammered them out. Here you can see the stainless steel blanks as they come laser cut. So those were drawn in CAD, actually over top of real leaves and laser cut. Now here's the fuller peen hammers. That's what I call these. They have about 1.5 inch radius on them in one direction, similar to a cross peen but very rounded. This one is similar, a little bit tighter, maybe 1 inch round radius, but this gives a really nice texture without overdoing it. Now the hammers that we're using for the stake repousse, they are much sharper, but they're also very rounded so that they don't leave a sharp cut in the piece, but that they can hammer a nice groove into the center. So what we found was we had to hand hammer the veins into most of the smaller leaves, but the larger leaves we were able to do on the air hammers. Here's another look at those two stakes that are held in the anvil. Stake repousse is an amazing technique. You can see how much dimensionality it's bringing to these leaves, same as the dies that we made on the air hammer. It's just taking it from a flat, boring piece of steel, or stainless in this case, to a really full dimensional leaf. As you'll see in a later video down the road, the idea with this gate is that it creates a kind of privacy screen. So the full gates feature some really sculptural branches that will hold all these leaves, but these leaves are going to create kind of a textural wall and a lot of privacy for the entrance to a really amazing property. We're going back to the anvil here. This is Zach Hess. He was an intern with us from the American College of Building Arts, and he is doing some stake repousse. I believe this was a fairly new technique to him, but he picked it up quickly and was a great part of this project.
The fuel of champions.
Go to what?
Go to the fridge. There's a whole entire section.
The sheet metal at the stem location was a bit wide, so we came up with a technique for rolling this using the old Champion trip hammer. This rolls the sheet metal into a stem and preps it for when we will be welding it into the gate. Here you can see Chase using yet another technique, which is kind of hot repousse into wood. And we found that this made the easing of the transitions from the side veins into the center veins of the leaf much better. He's using a top chisel that is really curved gracefully to make that transition look natural. One thing I'm really passionate about in the shop and the studio is safe and good working practices. Here I'm showing these large vent fans that we have installed and these big forge hoods that are above the forges to exhaust this hot air in the summertime. These forge hoods are 4 foot by 8 foot and they pull much of the hot air out of the shop. We can vent all the air in the shop in about every 30 seconds, which makes a huge difference doing this type of work in the summer. Personally, over the years, I've found that most blacksmith shops don't take a professional enough approach to ventilation. So I've taken most of my cues for the design of this from glass blowing setups that I've seen over the years, where they really are diligent to properly vent the equipment. And with 2 forges going and 4 guys working, if it wasn't this well ventilated, it would be absolutely miserable in the shop. Now the term repousse means to push back and forth, and here you can see Jared is hammering the leaf from the backside. This is doing 2 things. It is pushing out some of the recesses, and it's also taking out a bit of the height difference from the front to the back, which can in some cases become too much. but it's just kind of flattening it and pushing out those low areas at the same time. I do hope to show the conclusion of this great project, but thank you for joining me on this part of it, which is forging stainless steel oak leaves. So glad you're here, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks and goodbye.